The most dangerous manipulators never look like villains. No shouting, no obvious cruelty, just one quiet skill, making you believe you are the problem. They don't break you with force, they break you with doubt. Slowly, politely, until you can't tell where the truth went. In the next few minutes, you'll learn exactly how their playbook works and the simple anchor that makes you almost impossible to manipulate. First, let's see if this is your life. You apologize a lot, even when deep down you can't say what you actually did wrong. Before talking to one specific person, you rehearse. You plan your words like a lawyer preparing for a trial. About dinner plans. After arguments, you replay the scene for hours. Wait, did they really say that? Did I imagine it? You check and recheck. You've started screenshotting conversations, not for fun, as evidence, because your memory keeps being put on trial. Around them, you walk on eggshells. One wrong word and the temperature drops, so you measure everything you say. You've stopped telling friends the details, because every time you do, their faces change. And you find yourself defending the person who hurt you. Somehow, every conflict ends the same way, with you comforting them. Even when you were the one in tears, you feel drained after seeing them. Not always sad, just empty. Like your battery was quietly unplugged. And the strangest part, when you try to explain it, nothing sounds bad enough. No bruises, no shouting. Just a fog you can't name. If that fog feels familiar, stay with me. You're not weak. You're not crazy. And no, you're not imagining it. You may be inside one of the oldest psychological games in history. So let's open it up. Layer by layer. Layer 1. Manipulation doesn't attack your choices. It attacks something deeper, your perception, the part of you that decides what's real. Think of your mind as a ship. Your perception is the anchor. As long as the anchor holds, no storm can spin you in circles. A manipulator can't cut that anchor. You'd notice. So they do something smarter. They loosen it, one small turn at a time. It starts tiny. They deny saying something you clearly remember. I never said that. Said with total calm confidence. And here's the trap. They sound so sure. So your brain quietly does the math. One of us must be wrong. Maybe it's me. That little maybe it's me is the seed. Plant it often enough, and you start fact-checking your own mind instead of their behavior. Psychologists call the famous version gaslighting, named after a 1944 film where a husband dims the gas lamps, then insists his wife is seeing things. The lights were dimming. She was right. But after enough calm denial, she begged him to tell her what was real. That's the real mechanism, not convincing you of one lie, but making you resign from the job of knowing the truth and handing that job to them. Notice how gentle it sounds. You're remembering it wrong. You're too sensitive. Everyone agrees you overreact. Tiny sentences carrying heavy poison. Each sentence hides the same message. Your feelings are broken instruments. Don't trust your readings. Trust mine. And it escalates slowly, like water warming around a frog. No single moment ever feels alarming enough to jump, because if they showed you the worst behavior on day one, you'd run. So day one is wonderful. The erosion comes later, drop by drop. This is why smart people get trapped. Intelligence doesn't protect perception. You can't outthink a game you don't know is being played. And by the time you finally suspect the game, you've already been trained to doubt the very instincts that are warning you. So layer 1 in one line, manipulation is perception theft. Slow, polite, deniable. Now, let's look at the actual playbook. Layer 2, the moves. Manipulators differ, but their tools repeat. And once you can name them, they lose half their power. Move 1, love bombing. At the start, you weren't just liked, you were flooded. Constant messages, instant intimacy. I've never met anyone like you. It feels like fate. It works like a deposit. They invest fast, so that the withdrawal later feels like something you must fix. Move 2, intermittent rewards. Warm today, ice cold tomorrow. No pattern you can predict. Kindness arrives like a slot machine payout. And slot machines are exactly the point. Random rewards bond a brain harder than steady love. Casinos know it. So does your nervous system. You don't stay because it's good. You stay because it might be good again. Any minute now. That's not love. That's a lever. Move 3. Playing the victim. Every time they hurt you, the story flips. Their childhood, their stress, their pain. And suddenly, you're the one apologizing. Real pain deserves compassion, but watch the direction. Their pain only shows up when accountability gets close, like a smokescreen. With perfect timing, move 4, the silent treatment. Not quiet reflection, strategic absence, days of cold air, punishing you until you crack and apologize first. Silence as punishment teaches one lesson. Disagreement costs connection, so you stop disagreeing. The cage is built, and it needed no bars. Move 5, moving the goalposts. You finally meet their standard, and the standard moves. You were never meant to reach it. The chase is the leash. Move 6, triangulation. Even my friends think you're difficult. Invisible juries appear, always voting against you, and you can't cross-examine. Ghosts. And stitching it all together, a pattern called DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. You raise a concern, and somehow leave the conversation apologizing. Run the tape on your last few conflicts. Who raised the issue and who ended up on trial? If the roles always flip, that's not an accident. Here's what all 6 moves share. Each one transfers power quietly while staying deniable. Confront any single move, and out loud, it sounds petty. He just didn't text back for 3 days. She just made a sad face. Each frame is innocent. The film is the abuse. That's the design. That deniability is exactly why you can't explain it to friends. You're describing a pattern using snapshots, and snapshots always look fine. So, if you've failed to prove what's happening, stop blaming your communication skills. Patterns hide from snapshots. That's their camouflage. Now for the question underneath it all, why you? Why does this keep finding kind, thoughtful people? Layer 3 is the answer nobody likes. Layer 3, the targeting myth. We assume manipulators hunt the weak, the desperate, the naive. It's a comforting theory, and it's completely wrong. Manipulators select for specific treasures: empathy, conscientiousness, self-reflection, loyalty. In other words, the qualities you're proudest of. Think about what manipulation actually requires. A person who, when accused, pauses and honestly asks, "Wait, am I the problem?" And here's the truth almost nobody tells you. Your habit of self-examination, the most mature thing about you, is the exact door they walk through. A selfish person hears, "You're too sensitive," and shrugs. You hear it and open a full investigation against yourself. Guess who's easier to steer? Your empathy works the same way. They show pain. You rush to comfort. It's beautiful. It's also a button. And they've mapped every one of your buttons. So being targeted isn't proof that you're broken. It's usually proof that you're rich, in exactly the currencies manipulators love to spend. Now, the second uncomfortable truth. Most manipulators are not movie villains running a master plan from a dark room. Many learned these moves young, in homes where honesty was dangerous and control meant survival. The strategy got installed before they could question it. Some genuinely believe their own script. They feel like the victim while holding the strings. That's exactly what makes them so convincing. Understanding this matters not to excuse them, but to free you from a useless question. But do they really mean it? Intent is invisible. Impact is not. A drowning person doesn't stop to ask whether the water means it. You're allowed to get out of the water. And notice what chasing their intent does. It moves your attention off your own experience. Again, even your analysis gets hijacked. There's one more reason kind people stay: the sunk cost of compassion. You've invested so much understanding that leaving feels like abandoning a project, but you are not their therapist. Understanding someone's wound doesn't obligate you to live inside it. Compassion without boundaries isn't kindness. It's an open vault with a sign that says, take what you need. So layer 3, summarized. You weren't picked because you're weak. You were picked because you're valuable and unguarded, which raises the real cost of all this. Not the arguments, not the tears. Something quieter and much more expensive. Layer 4, what this actually steals from you and why you keep paying long after they're gone. Because the deepest damage isn't what they did. It's what you stop doing, trusting your own signal. Intuition is a muscle. Every time you override it to keep the peace, it gets weaker, quieter, until one day you can't hear it at all. Then the doubt spreads. You triple-check work emails. You ask 3 friends before tiny decisions. You start every opinion with, "This might be stupid, but..." That's the hidden tax. Manipulation in one relationship quietly rewires your confidence in all of them. You start outsourcing reality. What do you think happened? Was I wrong there? You poll other people about things you witnessed yourself. Meanwhile, the isolation tightens. Not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just seeing friends less because explaining is exhausting and you might cry. Your world shrinks down to one referee. The same referee who keeps changing the rules. That's a perfectly closed system. Your body keeps the score too. The constant scanning, the rehearsing, the bracing. Chronic vigilance is exhausting in a way sleep can't fix. And maybe the cruelest part, even after the relationship ends, their voice stays, installed, narrating your mistakes in their tone. You catch yourself mid-decision thinking, they'd say I'm overreacting. They're not even in the room. The program runs anyway. If you recognize that voice, hear this clearly. A borrowed voice is not a verdict, and programs can be uninstalled. Because here's what's still true. Your instincts aren't gone. They were silenced, not deleted. And there's a difference. A muted alarm still works. It's been waiting this whole time for you to turn the volume back up. And that's exactly what this last layer is about. Not revenge, not winning arguments, just quietly getting your anchor back. The turning point, how to become almost impossible to manipulate. And it's simpler than you think. Step 1, write things down. Tonight, a plain notebook or a notes app, dates, quotes, what happened, how you felt. Here's why this works. Paper has no agenda. Paper doesn't say, that never happened. Your notes become the one anchor they can't reach. When the rewriting starts, you're imagining it. You don't have to argue anymore. You just have to read, quietly, for yourself. Step 2, stop debating facts with someone who benefits from changing them. You don't need their confession to trust your own experience. Read that again. You do not need them to admit it for it to have happened. Their denial is not a delete button. Step 3, bring back one outside voice, a trusted friend, a relative, a therapist, someone who hears the unedited version. Closed systems only survive while no window opens. And watch yourself carefully. If telling the simple truth out loud makes you flinch, that flinch is information. Step 4, name the move silently. That's DARVO. That's the goalpost shift. Naming pulls you out of the play and into the audience. And from the audience, everything changes. You stop asking, how do I win this scene? And start asking, why does this scene keep repeating? Step 5, judge actions, ignore soundtracks. Apologies are music. Changed behavior is data. Wait for data. And if the pattern doesn't change, then distance isn't cruelty. It's medicine. You're allowed to protect your mind, like you'd protect your home. Will they call you cold? Probably. The person who benefited from your open vault will always call the new lock unfair. Let them. The opinion of someone who profits from your doubt is not a mirror. It's a sales pitch. And if this runs deep, if it echoes all the way back to childhood, a good therapist isn't a luxury. It's a repair crew for your anchor. You deserve that. None of this makes you paranoid. Trust is still beautiful. You're just learning to give it to people who don't pick locks. So here's tonight's homework. One question. Who do I become smaller around? Sit with the first name that appears and tell me in the comments, Has someone ever made you doubt your own memory? Just one word: yes. You'll be surprised how many of us there are. If this video felt like someone finally explained the fog, subscribe. This channel is where we turn the lights back on, because the truth is, you were never too sensitive. You were just accurate in a room that punished accuracy.